Hello and welcome to today's video. So this video is essentially going to be a reading vlog, but it's kind of like a specialised reading vlog. I'm just going to be reading middle grade. So here I've got 3 books. I've got Wink, I've got A Place Called Perfect, and I've got Amari and the Night Brothers. So essentially this week I want to read all 3 of these. Currently, as I'm filming this, Believathon's also happening, which I'm not properly taking part in, but I did want to like do something for it, so I feel like 3 middle grades, that's quite a good number. So I'm going to try and read these. I think I'm going to start with Amari and the Night Brothers. I do have the audiobook for this reserved from my library, and if you're not in the UK, I believe the audiobook is on Scribd, but every time I've tried to access it on Scribd it says not available in your country, so don't think you can get it in the UK. But yeah, these 2 I'll be reading physically, and this one I'll be reading audibly. So yeah, I'm really excited about all 3 of these, and to be honest, I don't know which one I'm gonna like the best. We've got like a definite, like, this is, I'd say, like fantasy, magical realism, I think, but I don't really know. And then this one is more contemporary. So we do have 3 very different books, but I'm really excited to get round to all of them. So I guess I should just start. So yeah, Amari and the Night Brothers, what is it about? Amari Peters knows 3 things. Her brother Quinton has gone missing. No one will talk about it. His mysterious job holds a clue. But then a strange invitation arrives. Amari has the chance to join the Magical Bureau of Supernatural Affairs, completing missions in a world where mermaids, aliens and magicians are real, and her roommate is a were-dragon. Secrets and surprises await Amari as she discovers her own rare and dangerous magical power, and soon she realises that the Bureau could hold the key to finding her brother. All she has to do is pass 3 tryouts. That sounds so good, it sounds so amazing, and I can't wait to read it. And I feel like this week's going to be quite cosy, so I'm sure Jafar's very happy about this as well, aren't you? Yes? So yeah. That's fun. I'm just going to start reading and I'll check in as and when I feel necessary. So yeah. Okay, so Amari and the Night Brothers update. I'm essentially going to be updating between chapters 1 and 10 right now. So I have been listening to the audiobook version of this and I'm really enjoying it. I started off and read the first 2 chapters, reading and audibly, but now I've just switched completely to the audiobook. So chapters 1 and 2 were great. Like, there was a good introduction, and within like the 16 pages that the first 2 chapters were in, like, I was hooked. There's good characters, and you could kind of sense like the type of adventures and who was going to be involved and what was going to go on. So yeah, really strong start. Then by chapter 9 the world had been completely established. Like, everything was very well wrote, like you could see it, like it was described really well, like you knew what was going on, and the story had kind of been set up, like you know the direction that it's heading in. And we've met both like supernatural beings by this point and artificial intelligence, so we know that they're both involved throughout the story. And we've just been like learning about the Bureau, and on the back it does say she'll be completing missions. So I don't think this is spoilery, but essentially it starts out with a camp and like a camp setting. That's how she's going to be like introduced to this world. So yeah, that's about to start and can't wait, like great. We'd also by this point been introduced to the were-dragon roommate mentioned on the back. Really like the roommate, and like you can already sense that they're going to be like very good friends, and like there's going to be some sort of like adventure with the 2 of them. And then we also learn, so on the front it does say Amari and the Night Brothers, and we learn who they are, what that relates to. Don't want to give too much away because that could be spoilery, but yeah, essentially by chapter 9 you know who the Night Brothers are. In chapter 10 we've learnt so much about Amari, essentially to the point where I'm not going to be able to say a lot else about this book without it being spoilery. So I think what I'm going to do is just every 10 chapters or so I will check back in and tell you like what my feelings are towards the book, and like if I'm enjoying it, how it's going, but not really give details on what's going on because I don't want this to be spoilery. So yeah, really enjoying it so far. I'm going to keep listening to the audiobook. I'm doing some bullet journaling today, so I'm just going to pop my headphones on And yeah, really enjoying it, and I'll be back at roughly around chapter 20 to discuss more. Hello. So currently on chapter 21. Absolutely loving it. Like, oh my god, this is such a good book. Like, I feel like normally when I'm like reading, like as I read or something, I'm like, oh, like what sort of star vibe is this giving me? I feel like normally when I'm reading middle grades, I'm like, oh, but it is a middle grade, like it's not aimed at like an adult. So I do take that into account, but this is so good. Like, I'm not even having to think that. Like, honestly, I've only read like 6 or 7 of the middle grades this year, but I'm fairly confident this is going to be like the best middle grade I've read this year. And I mean, unless something goes dreadful, we are like, let me have a look. Yeah, so we're like over halfway through, and yeah, like unless something goes dreadfully wrong, this is at least a 4-star book already. Like, it's already giving me that vibe. And I don't know, like I'm honestly just loving it. I think it's so good, it's so much fun. I don't really know what else to say. I can't say anything at this point without it being spoilery. So yeah, we're just vibing. Or I really like the direction it's going in. I like the character development that's happened over the last like 10 chapters. And I really like the things that have been found out and the things that we're trying to figure out. But that's it, I'm hooked. I'm gonna keep reading. Okay, so I've just got to page 300, which also happens to be chapter 27, so I thought this would be a good time to check in. Really enjoying it still. Really good story, and I think we're about to like get to the like final like bit of figuring out exactly what happens. And it does say, and soon she'll realise that the Bureau could hold the key to finding her brother. I, first of all, want to say that's a very good line. It's a very clever line to put on the back, because once you've read the book, I feel like you'll understand it in a bit more context. It's very interesting. I really like that. I think that was really clever. And honestly, I'm just really enjoying this. Like, I haven't finished it yet, and I already know that I can't wait for book 2 to come out next year. Like, yeah. I'm just gonna keep reading. Honestly, on the audiobook it says I have 2 hours 17 minutes left, and I'm listening to it at 1.5 speed. Yeah, 1.5 speed. So in under 2 hours now I will have finished it, which is really exciting. And yeah, I'm just gonna keep reading. I think it's a really good book and I'm really enjoying it, and I can't wait to continue on. It's getting late now, so I'll probably just check in the morning with what my final thoughts are. Didn't think I was going to check in again tonight, but I'm on chapter 32. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. I'm honestly speechless. Did not think this twist was about to happen. This is a middle grade book, and I did not see this. Well, like, the thing is, I feel like for reading it, there was so much I was thinking, and like I feel like it did pop up as a possibility, but like the possibility of the twist, like I dismissed it, and I thought I dismissed it for good reason. I was like, nah, but yeah. Okay, so last night I finished Amari and the Night Brothers. I don't have a great deal to say that I haven't already said during this, but it was honestly amazing. It was 5 stars on its own merit. It doesn't matter that it was a middle grade. It's not 5 stars because it was good and it was a middle grade. It was just 5 stars, which is truly amazing. Like, it lives up to like a lot of other 5 stars that I've read this year that have been like adult or young adult books, and I just think it did a really amazing job at everything it did. So yeah, on to the next book. The next one I've decided to pick up is Wink by Rob Harrell. I did actually start this last night. I got to chapter 4, which is page 26, but I'm going to read the back of it because it's a very interesting concept and I've been really excited to read it since I found it. So, having 2 eyebrows is way overrated. Ross just wants to be normal. He doesn't want to lose his hair or wear a weird hat or have to deal with so-called friends who don't know what to say to the cancer kid. Since his diagnosis of a rare eye cancer, blending in is no longer an option for Ross. Filled with humour, heart and backpeak comics, this is a story about surviving one wink at a time. It just sounds so good, and like the concept sounds so good, and like writing a book about like real like medical shit and like cancer for kids, I just think that's got to be so helpful and like such a good thing to do. So I'm really interested to like get into it properly. From what I've read so far, the first bit, really think it's going to be a great book. The book started off with, in the first chapter, he's getting his first round of radiotherapy, and it's already like flicked between timelines of like going back to when he first found a big bulge on his head, and it's talking about all these different things, and it just seems like such an important conversation, such an important book. And I honestly think it's just going to be very much this main character Ross, his story of his treatments, hopefully him getting better, and just kind of a way to explain it to kids, I'm guessing, and not make it such a scary thing. I don't know exactly where this is going, but on the back it's got a quote from Meg Cabot saying, "This book is proof that laughter is the best form of medicine." So yeah, I'm excited to read it, and I think it's going to be a really good book. So far the first 4 chapters have been really good, but I don't really know what to say about them. Like, I don't know how much of this book is going to be story and plot based, and how much of it is just going to be based on the character and the person. But I'm going to keep reading it, and I guess within the next few chapters I'll probably figure out if it's got like a more plot thing, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be more of like a person thing. So far really good, and I will say, like, I think it's done a really good job of explaining as well. So the first two paragraphs of the first chapter, it's about getting into this machine and needing a mask on, and there's also like little doodles there, so it's like shows what it's like as well, and this is quite common throughout. And yeah, I just think it's going to be really good. And also it's already touched upon the fact that he doesn't really know how to deal with this. He's kind of just, I can't remember exactly how it said it, but essentially he's just kind of pushing it to the back of his head, not really thinking about it, sort of thing, like doesn't want to dwell on it. His dad seems like a really cool character, and has already like come in after his first session and be like, come on, tell me everything, like I'm there for you. I'm really excited to continue reading, and I think it's going to be a very good, very quick read, so I will catch up when I pick it back up. Okay, so I've only read about another 6 chapters today, but it's really good. It's essentially just going through all these different people in his life, how they're treating him, and it's flicking between like the past and learning what's going on, and the present where he's now on treatment number 2. But, well, how many pages are we in? 73. And yeah, it's good, it's interesting, and I think it'd be really good for people like this sort of age, like, and it'd be good for anyone, to be honest, but I just feel like it's more catered towards that age group, obviously. And it's really interesting the different ways different people are treating him and how he's feeling, because you're not only seeing like how people are treating him and what people are saying, but also like his inner thoughts. So like, he really doesn't want to be the centre of attention, he doesn't know how to answer questions like how's it going, but it's also flicking back to the past and like how this came about, and like getting the different news and he's labelling them. So like in the past we've had bad day number 1 and bad day number 2, so I'm assuming we're going to get more of those. But yeah, it's really interesting and really good, so I'm going to keep reading. So I finished Wink last night and it was really good. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. I think this is such a good book, especially if you're like a younger child. I did look online at like the actual age rating for this, and on like a website it's like reading for kids, and it gives you like all the age information. So basically it said 9+, it's suitable for some readers, but 11+ is like more of a like accurate age rating. But I just thought it was really good. Obviously we follow Ross and his story. He has cancer and he's going through proton radiation therapy, but then we also follow his school life and his home life, and we only ever see things from his perspective, which is interesting, but he also notices a lot. and we don't only see things from his perspective, but it then follows on with like these little comics in here where he like explains how he's feeling better using these little comic strips, and like uses his character of Batpig to like signify himself in them. And yeah, I just thought it was really good. It was a really good story to read, and I think especially as a kid, I think a big part of this book was people not knowing how to react and what to say and what to do and how to interact. So I just think it is, no matter what age, a very interesting and insightful book. But also I think it is really good for kids to read, to kind of show if someone's ill, it's not this big scary thing that you need to keep away from, sort of thing. But yeah, would definitely recommend it. I know I haven't been very concise or very updatey in this book, but honestly it was so character based that it was difficult to update, because saying anything about what was going on with the character and how the character was feeling shows the plot of the book. So it's just a difficult one, but yeah, I would definitely recommend it. It was really, really good. So next on for today, I'm going to pick up A Place Called Perfect. I'm going to just read the back of this because that's all I know about it. Violet never wanted to move to Perfect. He wants to live in a town where everyone has to wear glasses to stop them going blind, and he wants to be neat and tidy and perfectly behaved all the time. Violet quickly discovers there's something weird going on in the town. She keeps hearing voices, her mum is acting strange, and her dad has disappeared. When she meets the boy, she realises that her dad is not the only person to have vanished, and that the mysterious watchers are guarding a perfectly creepy secret. Sounds really good, and it's got very good ratings online. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like I picked this up in a charity shop. It was 75p, and it intrigued me that way, but when I've actually looked on Goodreads, because I've now added it to my currently reading, it's got really good reviews and it looks like it's a really good book. It's also got a map, which just kind of push a book up in my eyes. Like, a map is very nice. So yeah, I'm going to start reading this and I'll just check in as and when. Okay, so I read up to chapter 5 this morning. I've actually got changed. This is a different pyjama top. It just looks the exact same. But I stopped reading the book. I've got to chapter 5, which is page 43. This is a big book, like it's over 300 pages. The dad hasn't even gone missing yet, which is what it tells us is going to happen on the back. And they already know what's happening and what's going on and how it's going to be fixed and what people aren't seeing. Like, I know it's a middle grade. I know it's not aimed at adults, but I just feel like this is extremely obvious what's going to happen. I think it's so disappointing because I had really high hopes for this book. So I'm going to try and read a bit more tonight, but I don't know, like I already know what's going to happen just from the first few chapters, and it's quite obvious. So yeah, to be honest, not a lot more has happened except for what was described on the back, except for like a few key pieces that keep getting brought up. Like the fact that you need to drink this tea every day has been brought up like 3 times now in the first 4 chapters. So I mean, certain things just keep getting brought up. I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm only on, like, I've read the first 4 chapters, so I really can't spoil anything at this point, but it's really seeming quite obvious. I'm hoping it will still be enjoyable, but earlier when I finished the chapter I was just like, yeah. I'm gonna keep reading and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so this book, I'm not finding it very good to read, and I'm not wanting to read it, and I think that's just because it's not very gripping. I'm reading it and I could put it down at any point, but also it's way too predictable, so I already know what's going to happen, so I'm just not really caring about picking it up. But I've searched for the audiobook online, and Audible have the audiobook, but I've already used a free trial with them, and there's no chance in hell that I'm paying £18.79 for an audiobook for a book that I paid 75p for from the charity shop. But there's a website called Ratukan Kobo, which I'm pretty sure is the same as the like Kobo e-reader, and they've got it, and they do a 1 month free trial, so I'm gonna get the book with that free trial and just listen to it throughout the day. I don't think it's going to be a bad book, and I think if I was younger it might be less predictable, but I'm just finding it really obvious what's going to happen and how it's happening, and we haven't even got to the point where the dad's gone yet. Pretty sure he's going to go any moment though, to be honest. I'm on chapter 7, which isn't very far through to know exactly what's going to happen. But yeah, it's not bad. I'm just not wanting to pick it up, like, yeah. So I'm gonna get the audiobook and give it a listen that way, and fingers crossed I enjoy it a bit more. Okay, so I finished reading A Place Called Perfect last night, and it was alright. Like, it wasn't bad. I think I'm gonna give it 2.5 stars. Obviously you can't go half stars on Goodreads, so I don't know if I'm gonna round up or round down. It was just way too predictable. Like, I think this book is meant to be classed as like a mystery, and it just wasn't. There was nothing there to solve. Everything was so predictable. In fact, some things were even told considerably before there should have been, even though I'd already predicted them. Like, yeah, I think it's a real shame because I feel like this had so much potential, and I think there are 2 more books in the series which I don't know if I'll pick up. I'm not going to actively look for them. If I see them in a charity shop, I'll probably pick them up. Like, this wasn't bad, and I think the audiobook did make it better. Like, the audiobook, I just put it on whilst I was doing things, and it was like a fun story, but it just didn't stand up, especially compared to the other 2 middle grades I've read like over this last week. It just didn't stand up. It was fun. If you are middle grade age, which I think is like 9 to 12, I would still recommend it. I think it's good. I don't know if it'd be so predictable for a younger age, but yeah, it's a good story. It was a fun story, but everything happened that you thought was going to happen. There was no twists or turns, but yeah, that's it, I guess. So that is the end of the video. Those are the 3 middle grade books that I've read over the last week. I do hope that you've enjoyed it. I had quite a lot of fun filming this. It's a shame it ended on like a bit of a downer. Like, the other 2 books were absolutely amazing, but I've had a lot of fun, and I think it's been a really good time, and it's definitely made me want to read more middle grade, so I'll definitely be keeping an eye open for them in the future. So yeah, if you did enjoy the video, please do give it a like, subscribe down below if you'd like to see more content like this, and hopefully I will see you next time. Bye.